Hi, my name is Katharine Schulz, coming at you with an under the table interview by way of over the counter here at Simmons Radio the Shark, and I have a very special virtual guest joining us today. Hello, Boy Jr. It's so lovely to meet you.
Hello, thanks so much for having me.
Well, yes, we're here to talk about your new album, I Love Getting Dumped, which got released October of this year. But
Yes,
first, we have some very crucial questions. This is just something I think everyone needs to know, okay? Like,
yes.
you'll understand. My very first question for you is, well, it's something that I find very near and dear to my heart, and I want to know what is something that you would eat two of?
What do I eat two of?
Oh, that is such a good question. Um, Cheerios,
Mm,
grains of
just two.
rice.
Honey nut or
Um,
regular, or good for your heart?
oh my God. I I really I really have a soft spot for Honey Nut. They
Mm.
made a couple of years ago they started doing pumpkin spice Cheerios
Shut
and
up.
I know people are like, not everything needs to be pumpkin spice, but like Cheerios are meant to be pumpkin spice.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
Also, I think that like pumpkin is like a weird, like no one, pumpkin is kind of an inaccessible taste. You can't just like
Yes.
bite into a pumpkin.
That's so
Why not
true.
make things pumpkin
That's
flavor?
that's the whole thing. It's like pumpkin itself pretty mild. And I'm a big fan of like a nice mild, sweet, savory flavor. But really, it's like the cinnamon and the nutmeg. Like
Right.
that's the flavor we're associating. I
That's the
could go
spice.
on.
We are done. That's another interview. Uh, so, Boy Junior, I have been aware of your presence online for quite some time, longer than I'd like to admit.
Oh,
But you're
sweet.
a
Thank you.
very successful influencer, internet fluencer. There we go.
Oh, thank you.
Well, yes.
I suppose it depends on who you ask.
Well, if you're asking me, I think that you certainly are. You've been making content across many platforms for quite a
Thank you.
while. How did you find your transition from making content like about music? Because a lot of your content on TikTok and such was about music and related to music and music fandom kind of in a way. And now you're making music as like your primary form of content, or like making your content is now about the music that you're making. How was that shift for you?
Yeah. Um, well, really, things happened in the reverse order. My main thing has been like my, quote unquote, serious music project since before there even was TikTok. Most of what I was doing was more in just the like live music and local spheres, just trying to play a lot of local shows. I was playing a lot of local shows and touring. Um, and I started also making content in like 2019. And there's always been quite a bit of original music sprinkled throughout. Um, but for one thing, it just, I never felt like I had the right angle for
Mm,
how to make the music I had already released, like, pre content creation, um, into like content. It's not very like interesting content. I also think it's just very tricky these days to take your like serious art and try and retell the story in a way that is like catchy for social media content. Um, and I didn't have any ideas that really like stuck for how to kind of promote the like quote unquote real music at the same time as I was doing silly stuff. So I definitely leaned more heavily into like doing silly internet stuff. Um, and of course, just sharing your music straight up, just like, didn't do as well. So for a while, I was like, okay, I don't know what to do. I'm not going to try. Um, that's not true. I did try, but a lot more of my efforts were being put toward I don't know, just like building the content side of things. Um, even when I released my last album, Pay Attention to Me, uh, I still felt like I had not. I just didn't feel like I had a confident grasp on presenting this music, I don't know, in like an internet friendly, content friendly way.
There's a weird
Um,
like you can definitely tell when music has been produced with the intention of it like being marketable on social
yes,
media. And I don't
absolutely.
think your music is that way. So it makes total sense to hear that it's difficult to reverse engineer a
Yeah,
serious song that wasn't made like with content
yeah,
purposes. It makes total sense.
yeah. And there's stuff that I've released that started out as just like a funny idea for the internet. A lot of the things is just like, this is a funny idea, you know, funny enough to work on it for like a portion of a day and put out
Right.
like 30 seconds of it to enjoy. And sometimes there will be enough traction that people are like, I want to listen to 3 minutes of this. And I'm like, okay. Um, but I, um, I've leaned more into just, yeah, I don't know, a more like serious, earnest, I guess. I'm still very like fun and goofy
Yes.
um, side of things this year. Um, because I think even with the when I put out the last album, I was like, I'm very excited about this. It was very I don't know, like lots of fun, weird, experimental sound kind of stuff. Like I don't know, I'm a very like textural producer, and I
Mm.
was really proud of the production work and I that I did, and obviously the songwriting. Um, and I felt like, and I guess I still feel like it's awkward and hard to like just share that and like feel like you're relating to people without just like going on long nerdy tangents.
Mm.
Um, but at the same time, I felt like I wasn't sharing, I don't know, like my full authentic self. Um, or rather, the fear was like I would have people be like, you're a comedy musician. You should try making real music. And I'd be like, whoa, that's nuts.
Yeah, that's crazy.
I've been making real music since I was a kid. Like, do you think I started like I tried to get into like producing to make a joke? Well, I
Yeah.
wouldn't put it past me. Um, but
Anything for the bit.
yeah. Um, but I feel like over the last year-ish plus, I've been a lot more determined to just like, I don't know, fail being like more of the artist I want to be and like
Mm.
not get a ton of views every time. Um, but hopefully share a more well-rounded um, perspective of myself
Yes.
um, that is funny and weird and chaotic, and also like, I don't know, artsy and colorful and expressive.
I definitely see that in the new album. It's there's you're very funny. Your lyrics are very witty,
Yeah.
um, at times, but there's also like, I mean, there's some real seriousness to a lot of those songs. When you particularly brought up how you were producing,
Mm,
I totally noticed like the textural aspect of the
thank you.
production on this new album. It's like I've been thinking more about genres. Now is the time to
Yeah.
think about genres, whatever. It's December, Spotify Wrapped, and all those things. So
Yeah,
people
yeah,
have
yeah.
genres at the forefront of the mind.
Yeah.
And I think I'm, 19 years of music fandom, obsessiveness, whatever. I think now maybe I could maybe perhaps say that the album is somewhere indie pop and like pop is,
Yeah.
but pop now is like super textural and freaky deaky, like Magdalena
Yeah.
Bay and
Oh
Caroline
my God. Yeah.
Polachek.
Yeah.
Super like,
Two of my favorites. Yeah.
yes, oh, I know I
Yeah, yeah,
could
yeah. Yeah.
I picked up on that. So it really reminded me, like this album certainly reminded me, production-wise and songwriting-wise, of them.
Oh, cool.
How do you
Thank you.
feel about this like new direction of pop?
I love it. I'm I like that. I feel like we're in an era right now where
Hmm.
like I feel like I picture, you know, pop music of like my like high school days where I was really like becoming a person and understanding what genres are. And,
Mm.
pop music was based around singles, it was mostly dance pop. Um, and so the concept of an artist putting out an album was less about like, this is a cool new artistic statement, and more like, this is a marketable thing, which
Mm.
isn't necessarily a bad thing, but it was like I feel like you were gonna expect to hear like 10 to 12 songs that all were like filling a role and maybe all could be singles, versus now I feel like it's exciting when even like a mainstream pop artist puts out a new album,
Yeah.
because there's a little bit more attention to, like, I feel like more people are doing like projects,
Mm.
and it's more, there's more like leeway to take on a new direction, have a different era,
Yes.
um, do something that's going to like take fans on a journey, as opposed to uh, just like make more music,
Mm.
um, to just like fulfill, like a record contract. Um, and I feel like we're seeing more like indie pop, quote unquote, becoming like just in the vernacular of pop.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's very interesting.
It is. It's super cool. I totally agree with what you're like the most mainstream artist, obviously, like, Taylor Swift has the whole different you can
Right.
associate yourself with the eras. But there's also like um what were once indie pop or like more fringy style
Yeah.
artists that could have become more popular. Charlie XCX, great
Yeah.
example. She's having that album has become like the album was the moment, it wasn't the single, it's not the thing. It
Yeah.
is the
Yeah.
concept of the album.
Yeah.
And like that I fear there is a very specific correlation between those artists who have been making waves and been making albums for 10 plus years but
Yeah.
have been only loved by like their queer fans and now
Mm.
are being loved by the masses. Like pop is
Yeah.
getting freakier and it's also
Yeah.
mainstream pop is getting way gayer, like Chappell Roan and stuff like
Yeah.
that. So as a friend of Dorothy, such as yourself, what do you think that like how does your queerness inspire you creatively when you're making music?
It's definitely all intertwined. Um, I think my journey with it, like, I think a lot about what I'm doing now versus what I was doing when I first started ever thinking about gender, and a lot of my first thoughts around it were like, wow, it feels really limiting making music like as a woman in music, and I really, really don't like it. Um, and it, like, took me a while to put two and two together and be like, well, if I'm so opposed to what like womanhood means and don't see myself as that and don't like the idea of being in a certain box, perhaps that's because I'm not meant for that box.
Mm.
um a lot of my favorite artists, in my years of like becoming a person, a formative person with taste and what I wanted to, the kind of sounds I wanted to emulate, were like a lot of male fronted bands. Um, a lot of the style I saw as iconic was like guys who play around with gender,
Yep.
and felt really like left out and bitter that I couldn't do that in the same way. I used to complain
Mm.
about like, well, if a guy wears lipstick and sequins and has like scruff, it's like cool and subversive and interesting, and it's obviously a statement on gender performance. If I do that, that's normal. That's considered like you're dressing up for the gig. Um, and I used to like spiral about that like years ago when I was like ever first starting doing Boy Jr shows, and I was definitely like, I want to be like subversive and gender and cool, um, but in a way that's like, well, no clothing is gendered, and anything can be a gender, a piece of gender, expression, and nothing is gender expression, and my thoughts are, eating themselves alive. Um, so I feel like simultaneously the music that I've made, I've seen as like totally separate from gender. I'm like, well, I'm a musician. For people are like, are you a boy or a girl? And I'm like, I'm an independent songwriter. Um, I think sometimes I see it as totally separate, and sometimes I see it as like very intertwined. And there's ways that I really enjoy playing around with, even the production element of things, changing the tone of my voice, putting effects on my voice,
Mm.
or nowadays just actually getting to showcase my voice the way that it is because I finally really like how it sounds. Um, I think there's times where I feel like what I'm making is totally disconnected from gender. It's just the music, and I just happen to be queer. Um, and then sometimes it's really related, and those things like grow and morph and mingle together.
Yeah, definitely. Well, performance in particular, I think, is such a big
Yeah,
part of it. Like
yeah,
I'm literally like sheltering my MCR poster or whatever.
yeah.
Like, it's totally like that first, like the early 2000s or whatever, and emo in a
Mm,
weird way was like how men started to, or in mainstream started to like be angry about the fact that they couldn't visibly show their queerness, and
mm,
like that was such a strange thing to watch people like play out on like
yeah,
MTV and at radio shows. But now like this like heightened, it's not even like, it's like post gender the way that I like
yeah,
when I'm looking at this album cover, it's like post gender. Like you're branding yourself as like fashionable, like neon, like red 40, like glow
yeah,
stick, like
yeah.
pouring out a glow stick. It's like very kid pics or like kind of
Oh,
like
yes,
Teletubbies in a weird
yeah,
way.
yeah, yeah,
Uh,
yeah.
who are your like what's your biggest visual inspiration? Because I'm getting all of those things at once.
Oh, that's a great question. What comes to mind? I mean, I had a lot of fun making a really big Pinterest board
Mm,
um,
hmm.
for this album because I knew I wanted like kitschy but dark and weird, like
Yeah.
liminal space, but also
Mm.
like fun, welcoming colors. Um, Honestly,
It's
I
kind
feel
of Chuck E.
like,
Cheese.
yeah,
Like the evilness is like it's insidious and
yes,
it's in the
yes.
background.
Oh my God, absolutely. um, I got really into Saint Vincent
Oh yeah.
when I was like in my like teens, early 20s. Like I think I got into her when she won a Grammy and I was like, "Oh, I've never heard of this person who's been like out and around and doing cool stuff." And I feel like the visuals for the self-titled album and Mass Seduction were really like formative to me. Like I think again that's sort of like hyper saturated, but also I don't know, like tongue in cheek, like plasticness is really intriguing to me. Um, and I'm trying to think if there's any other uh, releases that have come out like in the last several years that I've been like, oh, that's totally the vibe. Um,
I think back like the St. Vincent, when I got introduced to St. Vincent was
yeah,
David Byrne. And David
yeah,
Byrne, like going back, way back, like,
yeah,
Talking Heads was like kind of the original of that like plasticky, like with the album cover.
yeah,
I can't remember
yeah,
the third album, but the three they're all in like plastic wrap and in
yeah,
front of the like red background.
yeah.
It's very like that same kind of like action figure come
Yes.
to life.
I feel like anything that stems from like 80s new wave stuff,
Mm,
I'm really interested in. Um, Anything that has been influenced by anything Prince has done.
yeah.
Um, a
Which
lot
is
of
like
like,
everything.
yeah, a lot of like 70s and 80s David Bowie. Uh, and just anything like colorful and bizarre.
Yes.
Yeah.
I love that. I was gonna say I would say like your personal style is very like this exaggerated neon and bright and very cool.
Thank you. Yeah,
Yeah.
behind me, that my closet behind me, I love having these like really pristine, like this is the only like neat, clean part. Well, not literally neat, clean, but like blank spot in my room. But I'm looking at this like corner of like really colorful art, and it's funny when I take videos in front of this, but then I'll go like to grab something to wear and open it up, and it's like that's the chaos sphere.
The
That's the chaos
explosion.
realm in there. But like I close it and it's like perfect blanked wall to film my videos in front of.
Yeah, there's a lot of self-restraint going on there with
Oh
just that wall. I would have like scribbled all over it or whatever by now. But your like clothes in particular, okay. Going back to even David Bowie, like
Mm,
queerness is like a very visual like style of dress. Or like it's
yeah,
it's been very easy for society to like identify queerness with a style of dress.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
And
yeah,
now, like I personally find myself visually dressing to identify with communities and find merit in doing that as well.
yeah.
How do you feel about like aligning yourself with an identity through clothes in particular, since we're talking about that?
Well, I think first and foremost, I want everybody to know I'm a little freak.
Hmm.
No, just kidding. I mean, I know. Actually, I mean, first and foremost, is that I want to have fun. I dressed really weird. Well, I mean, I guess I still dress weird, but like for middle school and high school, like public school, I
Oh
dressed
yeah.
really weird.
Mhm.
I got teased for that like a lot, but then I won best dressed in the eighth grade yearbook and in my high school yearbook.
Uh.
Um, take that. Um,
Yeah, you showed them.
because I think that was just like it was very stimulating to my like brain that wanted to constantly be like playing with toys, to like dress interesting. That was like what kept me going through like
Yeah.
waking up at 6 in the morning and living in a place where it's like you don't see the sun for most of the winter.
Hmm.
Uh, and school is boring and overwhelming. I think I've always reverted to personal style as something to just like look forward to and provide some dopamine. Um, and now it's funny because I spend a lot of my, unless I like make a conscious effort to like go out of my house, a lot of the things I do for work and tasks I have to do are here in my room.
Hmm.
Um, so like I like have a lot of like cool outfit ideas and stuff I want to do and wear, but I'm also just like in my house a lot. Um, oh, how the tables have turned.
Yeah. Yeah, now
But
you're
then so
intentionally
I feel
holding up.
like yeah, I feel like now when I do like go out and do stuff, actually I was just saying um the other day, me and my sibling go to the same gym and we are leaving and I was like, I feel like I look so weird. And they were like, why? And I was like, well, look around at what everybody else is wearing. People wear like pretty subdued things to the gym. And I was like, I tried to pick, I was like, I wasn't feeling very bold today. And I tried to pick my most normal clothes to wear to the gym, which was these like green mesh basketball shorts. Um, my sneakers are red. My hair is blue. Um, I don't remember what shirt I was wearing, but like, and my winter coat, my go-to winter coat is like rainbow.
Yeah.
So I'm like, oh shoot, you put all these things together, and no matter what I do, I look like a clown. That's fine. I
Yes.
do like enjoy my personal style. But like most of the things I have and like my go-to things are like everything's got a little thing on it. Everything's a little like
Yeah.
fun. It's like more effort for me to just like dress down,
Mm.
which I also like to do. I feel like I have a lot of different senses of styles and versions of presentation I like to go with. But it's so funny. I was just like noticing like all my default clothes are silly.
Yeah. That
Even when
like
I
cartoon character base
yeah,
layer.
yeah,
Yeah.
totally. I've got the cartoon character base. I mean, I also just like have blue hair and it's this shag cut and I have piercings and like no matter what I do, it like I'm gonna get. I mean, I'm very clearly somebody with blue hair and pronouns right now. That's just like how I'm gonna look, even if I wear the most like guy at the gas station kind of outfit, I'm still very clearly gonna be like some kind of queer.
Yeah, that's sick. Could you imagine if Adam Sandler had like a rat tail and it was hot pink or whatever, and he had like this eyeliner on,
Yeah,
and it
I
was just
can't.
still Adam
I
Sandler?
can imagine. I've been to Bushwick.
Not too much on that, not too much on Brooklyn. Oh yeah, speaking of New York, my personal favorite song on the album is Top Five Most Emotional People in Western New York, because
Oh,
that
sweet.
was
Thank you.
me. Well, yes. Yes, I wasn't always living in Boston. I grew up in Westchester, and
Oh,
holy
sweet. That's
shit.
where I went to school.
Are you serious? Where'd you go?
Yeah, I went to Purchase.
Oh, Mitski. Ooh,
Yeah.
Mitski.
Yeah.
Hey, that's so funny. Anyways, the song in that song in particular, that's one I've had on loop. The
Oh,
lyrics are
sweet.
kind of talking about like the harm of like that aimless romance can do to like a
Yeah.
true yearner's heart.
Oh, a true yearner's heart. That's so real. Honestly, I need to make more content around that song, and like that exact description is probably going to make its way into a video. That is such a beautiful way of summing it up.
Oh, thank you. I'm
Thank
glad. I
you.
love that damn song. But what do you think about that like new type of person? I fear this is like a new, I'm sure it's not a new meta, but it's new to
Mm,
this to me and to my life, like that has a low attention span for like romance or connection because they're just like they just be scrolling. Like
oh
I
my
fear your
God.
low attention span has extended to every single part of your life.
Yes. Oh my God. I feel like I find myself talking about this exact thing more and more. And I
Hmm.
literally feel like we could do a whole podcast episode on just
Yes,
this. Like,
please.
it's so fascinating and also makes me feel like I'm going nuts.
Yeah.
Um,
Because it's actual, I'm like, you are an NPC, like you're not real.
yeah.
It's crazy.
Um, because it does. I mean, the attention span thing concerns me for my, my own daily life. That I, when I'm sitting here working on music and I have to wait for my session to load or I'm bouncing a track and I know I have 2 minutes with no immediate task in front of me. Um, the urge to just immediately go open my phone and open Instagram is so strong. Hi, Walter.
Yeah.
We get Walter meowing on
Do we
this.
have a guest? Yes, please.
Yes, Walter,
Oh,
come back.
amazing.
Um, the urge, it's just like it's so ingrained right now. Um, and like I feel like I kind of just talked about this a little bit in therapy today. Um, because obviously I have like a pattern in my life when it comes to relationships over the last like 4 or 5 years, um, where I'm trying to really look at my patterns and how my habits play into this and overall are not serving my well-being. I think part of it comes also from the attention thing and wanting the dopamine of like having a crush and having
Yeah.
um, a having um, an exciting connection with somebody else, which is like very human.
Mm.
Um, but then we have things like every kind of dating app under the sun, and the desire to scroll through people's Instagram accounts and fantasize about people we don't even know and project onto people we don't interact with in real life.
Hmm.
Um, and there's so many like companies and products that are playing into our attention based issues that are just like making us see each other as like products and like things we can just
Yeah.
like swipe through. Um, I mean, I literally there's another song on the album where I specifically reference something that was said to me when I was broken up with once, where um, the person basically was like, I just kind of see relationships like looking at paintings in a museum, and you look at one for a while and it's really enjoyable while you're looking at it, but then you've seen enough of it and you want to move on to the next thing. And I was like, hey, that's really not an acceptable, okay thing to say to another person,
Yeah.
right? Like,
That's a human
that's not
being.
good. um, uh, but
Damn.
I do think I do think it was honest. I do think it was an honest
Sure.
explanation of how this person was seeing relationships. Um, and my fear is that more and more like full grown adults um are going to, I don't know, just see human connection very akin to how we used to channel surf, or how we just like swipe
Mm.
through videos on our phones, or swipe left on Tinder profiles. Um, just like feeling like if there's an issue or a defect, or something that is no longer entertaining you, you replace it and you get a new one, because that's what we do with products. I feel like it's a really dark like take on the world, and it's not literally that black and white. But I do feel like I'm seeing that happen more and more.
Yeah.
And it's not actually making the people who like end relationships because they're just like, oh, I don't know, I stopped being obsessed with you, so I guess I just don't care about you at all. I don't think it's making them feel good either. I think it's making
Mm.
just a whole lot of people feel really like lost and lonely.
Yeah. Well, it's not, it's the dopamine addiction isn't like a sustainable, I mean, it's an addiction, so it's not sustainable.
Yeah,
You can't keep doing that. Like
right.
the most frightening thing about it to me is like the dopamine addiction extending into being actually harmful. Like it's
Yeah.
extended into other people. You are
Yes.
now hurting every single person who comes in contact with you romantically, and they didn't sign up for that.
Yep.
Okay? It has nothing to do with me.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Leave me
It's
out of your
hard out
shit.
here. Yeah.
It's crazy.
Yeah, it's hard out
There's a
here.
reason I've been single all year. Like,
Yeah.
mm-mm.
I hope you feel
Super seamless transition. I'll like put like a like a little thing there. Okay, so the album, it's all about breakup songs, right? It's all breakup
Yeah.
songs. And you're kind
Yeah.
of coming at breakups from like the perspective of your response after the breakup. Or instead of it
Yeah.
being like I just keyed his car and I smashed his face in with a baseball bat. It's more
Yeah.
like it's more like what did I do? Or like what was like a reflection, a mature reflection. I thought it
Yeah,
was really cool.
I try to most of the time. I think that tends to be how I'm actually processing things.
Yeah.
And sometimes using the music writing as kind of like a playground to explore, in like a healthy way, like being mad and like sometimes putting the blame on somebody else for like stringing me along and hurting me. um,
Well, they damn deserve a song written about them, I fear. If you're
yeah,
gonna behave like an idiot, you get some, you're gonna get a
yeah,
song.
yeah,
But since you have this, you've got some experience being broken up with,
yeah.
what's your antidote for a bad breakup?
Um, therapy, writing about it. Um, I don't know, because I got broken up with again like less than a week after the album came out.
No
Um,
shit. Oh no.
um, so it was weird. I felt like I was really excited to like go all in on being really organized about promoting this record. And then I felt really disorganized because I was like, a lot of the mental energy I was planning on putting toward album stuff and release stuff and content, I was like, well, I'm really exhausted from just the mental processing of this breakup and like just the hurt. Um, but it's interesting. I mean, I feel like it's at first I was like, wow, what a coincidence. And now I'm like, it's probably actually not that much of a coincidence. I think, you know, probably just needed, there just needs some like there needs to be some space and time.
Yeah.
Um, and you just never exactly know what other people are thinking, um, and how they might be interpreting the music.
Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah, that's the big
yeah,
concern.
yeah. And not to talk about like this person in particular or this particular relationship, because it all still feels like fairly fresh.
Mhm.
Um, but I mean, I honestly feel like the antidote is like talking to people you trust, and for me, a lot of like making art and journaling, um, And oh my God, my cat is sitting in such a funny position. I need to.
Oh yeah, no, no. This is very serious. Damn, I was
Um,
kind of hoping you would say like uh honey, lemon, and ginger mixed for two at 200
honestly,
degrees.
200 degrees.
Yeah, mix that shit 200 degrees Celsius. Okay? Put that shit in the
Woo!
sun.
The antidote is beach vacation. Well, actually, no. You know what I do also find um is really good is changing my surroundings.
Mm.
I went,
So
you
literally
know,
beach vacation.
honestly, yeah, literally you need a beach episode.
Yes, yes.
Being able to go on tour sometimes and just like get out of my current just frequently being in my room lifestyle uh is really good. I feel like I'm not good at like taking vacations and relaxing, but
Mhm.
traveling for a purpose
Yeah.
is really nice. And I think just finding purpose feels really good. Uh, like just staying on a task or a direction, and feeding other parts of the soul, I guess,
Mhm.
other than just the part that wants intimacy,
Blood, death,
blood. Yeah,
gore.
or yeah,
Yeah. I find that true. Yeah, usually, I mean, and like, there's no, I mean, leaving New York
yeah,
is sometimes can be so wonderful and feel
yeah,
so damn good.
yeah.
I'm gonna be back there for the first time in like 4 years
Oh
for
wow.
MCR this summer.
Oh, that's so exciting. Oh my
Yeah.
God, that's gonna be amazing.
It's gonna be sweet. Okay, so um worst, we gotta get this out of the way. This is gonna be like this is the clickbait, is like, what's your worst breakup story, boy junior?
Um, well, the one I just had still feels pretty bad.
Shit! Shit!
Um, what is actually my worst? What is the most? Well, I do
Like
feel like
maybe the
I
most
feel like
insane.
I feel like the most outrageous thing that was ever
Yeah,
said
yeah.
to me was the one in Throw Me Out a Window about like the paintings thing.
Yeah.
That I really sometimes I think back on that, I'm like, what was that about, man?
But that's a weird, like, that's such a weird moment of like clarity, and like you are
Mm,
so aware of how crazy you're being, or like
yeah.
like how weird. And like if you're that aware, why haven't we done anything to change the situation?
Yes.
Hmm.
Yes.
Sounds like you dodged a bullet.
Yeah, I mean it's just like, hindsight's always 2020, and it's like, okay, that wasn't the most mature of relationships.
Yeah.
I was looking for something that was more mature, and this person basically came to me and was like, I feel like you're looking for something more serious than what I'm looking for. And I was like,
Uh
then why have we been doing this?
what's the
But
point?
also very much, on me for, um, I don't know, prioritizing having a good time instead of knowing how to listen to like, hey, does this really seem like we're on the same page about what we want and this is headed in a direction that's actually meeting both of our needs? It's very hard to do that in the moment.
Yeah, yeah, right. Because relationships, like it's hard to, unless you're like at a point of long term, like
Yes.
first 2 months. If you're like first 2 months and you have to be like, we need a come to Jesus moment now, it's
Yeah.
kind of weird and
Yes.
frightening.
No, it totally. It's very tricky. And I think ultimately we can't fault ourselves for being like, why did I not see it? How did I miss these red flags? Why do I keep doing this? Because this is what I do to myself. I'm like, why does this keep happening to me? Why can't I like I genuinely I joke that I'm cursed. The amount of times I have been in relationships or situationships where it's like, wow, this is the most amazing thing ever. We're crazy about each other. I feel like this person really likes me, or like it's a person who has pursued me or has brought up
Hmm.
to me. They want to be in a relationship, a more labeled, committed relationship of some sort. And I feel like they go from being like, wow, you are the coolest person I've ever been in a relationship with. I don't like you anymore. We need to break up. And I'm
Yeah.
like, hey, am I on the Truman Show? Can you
Yeah.
be
Am I
honest with
the
me?
drama? Right. Were
Um,
you a social experiment? That's kind of like when I'm thinking about the album, another standout to me was Legolas, which is
yeah.
low-key very much so exactly what you're talking about. Like
Mm,
someone who is so in their little like escapist world and they're like, "Oh, what? Can you shoot bow and arrow? Wait, you can't? What the fuck?" Like
yeah.
that is such a weird, like unhealthy way to handle communication. And on a totally separate completely unrelated note, who do you think would be the best boyfriend? Frodo, Aragorn, or Legolas?
I
Just
mean,
wondering.
I do actually feel like actual character Legolas would probably be a good boyfriend.
What? What are you thinking about? The
I don't
boat?
know.
The boat. I don't know. He would be fine. He's very
He
emotionally
would.
distant for me.
Oh, I guess that says something about me though. Hmm.
Yeah. Well, I'm
Maybe I
like,
need to
I'm like,
rewatch the movie.
I fear like I told my friend I watched those like way too late in life. I was like I was
Me
it was like
too.
I was like an adult and I was
Yeah.
like, "Yay! I love
Yeah.
this. I wish I could skip around the Shire." But like
Oh, just go to Australia.
yeah, you're right, New Zealand. But
New
like
Zealand, yeah.
um I think if I was like, "Damn, if I was like 14 or whatever when I watched these,
Mm.
Aragorn."
Yeah.
But I am a woman with needs, and I just feel like Samwise Gamgee could do those things, like could fulfill those
Oh,
needs.
honestly, no, that's so true. That is so
Yeah.
genuinely actually true.
Yeah.
I
That's a
feel like
man.
that's yeah, it's the difference between like guy. Oh my God. There is there's a post that I see go around every so often that's like a screenshot of two different kinds of good morning texts, and
Uh-huh. Yeah.
one is like, "Good morning, my beautiful angel. How are you doing? I hope you slept well." And the other is like, "I'm a whack." And the person says, "Guess which one I have feelings for."
Yeah. Yeah.
It's like
It's
that.
so
It's
that.
yeah.
That's just that's how it is though. It's And it's like not why I'm always like whenever I'm in a situation like that, I'm like,
Yeah.
damn, like my survival instincts are failing me so hard.
Yeah, that's
Like the
so real.
home, my nest is not being protected. My
Wow.
damn eggs.
Whoa. Oh my God. I'm definitely gonna come back to that. But were your survival instincts in the room with us right now?
Right, yeah. No, they're not. No, I like the guy who has the gun and smells bad. Ooh,
Yeah,
yes.
yeah.
That's a husband. It's
What
actually
is it
not.
with that? What
I
is
don't
it with
know.
that? I truly, I wish I knew. Will I ever know?
Yeah.
I don't know. Sometimes I think it's just a matter of just like doing it again and again until you get tired and you don't think you're learning anything each time, but you actually are learning something, and bit by
Yeah.
bit you are growing. Because I think about the person that I was, and the way I was in relationships when I wrote some of these. Like the first song is like the oldest songs on this album. I think it's some stuff I wrote in like probably 2020 or
Oh wow.
2021.
Nice.
Um, and I'm like, day by day, I don't feel like I'm like, wow, I'm a different person than I was yesterday. But it's like years go by and various experiences go by. And I'm like, wow, wouldn't have handled communication. I wouldn't handle communication the same way now that I used to.
Mm.
Um, though I may still have certain habits ingrained in me, um, it, it's nice to have this stuff sort of as a timestamp, and be able to look back at it like, hey, I made a cool piece of art from this. And also, kind of nice to feel like, wow, I wouldn't hold these same sentiments anymore. I don't think I would uh, maybe put as much weight on certain situations, or pursue, uh, I don't know, pursue certain relationships where there was a clear difference in emotional availability.
Yeah.
I'd like to think that at least.
Right. Yes, we always tell ourselves that, and then, someone new with a fun sense of style comes in and they're like,
Yeah,
"Ooh,
yeah, yeah, yeah,
you're a little toy for me to play with."
yeah, yeah.
It must be cool, like to have that. This album is like a mosaic or like a big something that you've been putting together
Hmm.
for a while of
Yeah.
breakups. How does it feel to have like a kind of compilation of the last like 5 years at this point,
Um,
almost?
Good. It feels, I was very excited to just have this stuff out and like not just living on my hard drive anymore.
Mm,
Um, because I didn't write any of it with the intention of I'm gonna put this all on a breakup album. Um, I just was like really overwhelmed by how many songs I had just unreleased or mostly finished but not fully finished and stuff that I was like, this is really good. I just
yeah.
write a lot of stuff and start it, and then I'm like, I'll come back to it later.
Mm.
Um, but I looked at how many of these songs were connected by this common theme, and I was like, wow, these should just go on a record together. And how funny would it be if the album was called I Love Getting Dumped? You know, I love it so much, I wrote 13 songs about it.
Yeah, right.
Um, closer, actually closer to like 18, because now there's like bonus tracks I'm
Yeah.
finishing up and working on uh, for a deluxe version.
Exciting!
Yeah.
Yay! Oh, that's so cool. Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
So you did oh, I want to ask you more about the deluxe version, but I have one more question.
Yeah, yeah.
Um, so you just had your album release party recently last week?
Yeah, God, was it last week? It was November 23rd. I can't keep track
Okay,
of time
so
anymore. Almost
God,
almost 2 weeks at this point. So we did
that's
an album
weird.
release show, and then the following week, so last weekend we did a little release run,
Awesome.
um, and it
Yes, how was all
was
that?
really fun. It was great, except for I got a stomach flu like the night of the
Oh
third
no.
show, and I spent like the whole show like hiding in the bathroom, thinking I was like gonna die and potentially not play the set. But at the last minute, I was like, no, guys, I think I could do it. I was like, just put a garbage can on stage just in case I just like randomly throw up. And it was rough. I was like, I definitely started to feel it coming on again while I was on stage because I thought I had food poisoning, perhaps.
Ah,
It wasn't like, well, actually, I wasn't sure what I had. I think I was just like, oh my God, sometimes I just get hit with like stomach problems. Um, and it makes me panic, and the
mm,
panic makes my stomach get wonky. So
yep.
like that started happening. So that was a really bizarre. It was like, I still feel like I'm kind of like recovering from the weekend of just like this very intense performance experience. But I got through it, and I really look forward to planning some more runs throughout the year. I'm actually getting on a call with my booking agent right after we finish up this because I want to start getting things in motion. I really need to go out and play on the West Coast,
Yeah.
and go back to the South and do some Midwest dates. And then eventually, I'd really like to play in like Europe and like overseas and other countries. But it can't all happen in one year because my God, who has the money?
Yep. Yeah, seriously.
Touring is
My
really expensive.
It's crazy. It's
Yeah.
wild. Well, that was gonna be my next question was like, when's the damn tour? Hey,
Yeah.
when's the tour?
Yeah.
I can't wait. Well, you've got it. I did notice you missed one region, and that's the Northeast. You have to come to
Yes.
Boston. You
Yeah.
must come to Boston.
Yeah.
Oh, that'll be
I
so
haven't
bad.
done Boston since last January. No, that's not true. I feel like I did it more recently than that. And we'll see what happens. I mean, every so often, I wind up coming to a place because I get asked to open for a different tour, which is great, and I really love doing that. It's
Yeah.
really stressful to plan it all myself, and um, yeah, I struggle enough with just like the social media algorithms to get word out about new music or to just have a video that pops off. Getting word out about shows coming out is so hard. I mean, I definitely think social media platforms like know when you are pushing something, and if it's getting people off the app to go like click a link in your bio and buy tickets or something in real life, it suppresses it. It's just like no matter what the size of the artist, unless you're
Yeah.
like a really major artist, it's so hard for smaller artists. It's just like fighting tooth and nail to try and trick the algorithm into showing your followers who want to know when you're touring that you're touring.
Yeah.
So with that in mind, I do have an email list you can sign up for on my merch website, and I'll always send out emails with upcoming show dates. And I find bands in town is also pretty reliable. You can I'll sign up like you can sign up like put your email in bands in town and follow certain artists. So if they announce a show in your area, you'll get an email from bands in town. So it's really
Yeah.
funny. I get emails every time I'm playing, and it'll be like, "Don't miss your chance to see Boy Jr. live."
You better not miss it.
Oh
It's just
God!
reminding you. Shit.
Oh, I didn't
No
get my
one,
tickets.
nobody told me. Okay, well, thank you so much. I can't wait to hear more about the tour. I
Yeah,
can't wait to see you in Boston.
yeah, definitely
And
coming back to
I
Boston. The last few times we've played Boston have been really great, so we're definitely planning to
sweet.
come back. Yeah.
Where did you play in Boston, if I may?
I think it's been deep cuts two different times.
Okay.
Oh, I really feel like there was another place we played. Oh, oh man. I'm remembering the location, but I absolutely can't remember the name. And it just shut down too. We played there with Vile in April,
Okay.
and it was some kind of little. It's actually a little black box theater. They
Ooh.
occasionally do music shows, but it's actually a theater.
Okay.
Um, I want to say it was technically in Somerville.
Yeah, that sounds right. Now my lack of Boston
Yeah, it's
knowledge
it's
is
fine. And if you Google Boy Jr. Vile or look at Vile's past tour dates or Boy Jr.'s past tour dates, it's somewhere in there in April last year.
yeah, we'll sniff it out.
Yeah.
We'll see you somewhere very cool, hopefully next year. I have one final question for you,
Yeah.
the Mr., the Senior, the Captain Boy Jr. What is your desert island band? Or artist? Doesn't have to be a band.
Mm.
The most original question. Yay!
Me?
Yeah, period. This is high. Yeah, that's such a good answer. Oh, yeah.
Wait, yeah, because if I pick myself, then I'm also there and I can just be creating new music while I'm there.
And you can make anything
Yes.
you want, and you have an
Yeah.
unlimited discography. It's
Yeah.
never gonna
Oh my God.
stop.
Yeah.
That's
Okay,
actually
that's my answer.
genius.
Final answer. Yeah.
Oh,
DIY
that's
or
the
die, baby.
hell yeah! That's the first like good. I mean, I've got like good answers in the past. Snooper said ween, and I was like, yeah,
Well,
yeah,
yeah,
it's
you can't.
good.
You won't get bored really fast. You won't be like, oh my God, I can't listen to these same three albums anymore.
Yeah, right. I'm so sick of Blarney Stone. No, you're not. Um, but that's so good. Oh yeah.
Thank you.
Damn. Okay. Putting that back in my brain. Sweet. Okay, well plug all your shit. This is your, you have a tour.
Yeah. Well, I just had an album come up. Wow. Okay, let me start that sentence all the way over. I just had an album come out called "I Love Getting Dumped." It's on all streaming platforms. It is buyable on Bandcamp. You can get it on boyjunior.bandcamp.com.
Mhm.
I am Boy Junior official on Instagram. I am Boy Junior 0.69 on TikTok. Um, I'm on Blue Sky and Twitter and Threads and YouTube and Patreon. You know what? I don't plug my Patreon as much as I should. I'm
Yes,
on
please do.
Patreon. That's also a really cool way to directly support artists and get a bunch of bonus content. And I send out mail, like art stuff for my sketchbook every month on one of the tiers. So if you want snail mail directly from me, you can get it there. It's a great way to help artists continue to be able to do everything that they do.
Yes.
Like I mentioned before, there's also the bands in town and my email list, which are great ways to keep up with new releases and upcoming live shows.
Hells yeah. Well,
Yeah.
thank you so much for talking to me, man. It's been a pleasure. You're
Yeah.
lovely.
Yeah. Same. Thank you so much for having me. This is great.
Of course. Okay. Bye.